Hello and welcome to another Tabletop Games Blog Saturday review.
Diamonds, gold, silver, cloth, spices, leather.
You shout from your stall into the hustle and bustle of the market. You're not the only trader vying for the many people wandering around the square, most of whom are tourists looking for a bargain. In fact, there's one other trader selling the same wares as you, and both of you pride yourselves on selling the finest goods. Neither of you wants to sell cheap, but if you're not quick enough, prices will drop, and you will end up with a store full of unsold items. However, what you both want most over everything else is to attract the Maharajah's eye and be granted one of his rare seals of excellence in the hope that you'll become his personal trader in Jaipur by GameWorks. He is a wonderful two-player only light card game that is really easy to teach and learn as well as very quick to play. I've played Jaipur dozens of times online at Yakata.de with people from around the world before buying a physical copy to play with my wife at home. I appreciate that set collection games aren't for everyone, often because there's too much luck involved, but I do think that Jaipur handles itself really well in this context. Of course, if the luck of the draw goes against you, you will lose by a high margin. That is why you play the game as a best out of 3, so the randomness is balanced out a bit. However, you will also find that luck alone doesn't win you the game. There's a good amount of planning involved as well. A seasoned player of Jaipur is very likely to beat a new player, unless the cards really go against them. After all, you do need to think about whether it is worth you holding onto your set of goods a little longer, in the hope to be able to sell 5 of them in one go, which will give you a considerable point bonus. New players may also fall into the trap of reaching the hand limit when the market is full of camels, except for a single card forcing them to sell their goods to reduce their hand size, or draw all camels, which is likely to give their opponent the cards they need to complete or increase their sets of goods. At the same time, the game really isn't too taxing on your brain, and given it usually takes less than half an hour to play, it is a perfect filler game, or game on the go. The box it comes in is relatively small, but it's really just a deck of cards and a couple of stacks of tokens, which can easily fit into an even smaller box if you want to make it even more portable. There are also 2 main modes of play, either the classic version where you have to remember what cards your opponent drew, or the open version where new cards are put face up in front of players, allowing you to reduce the demands on your memory completely if you don't like the memory element in the game. It's really a very solid game as well. If you have 2 players with roughly equal experience with Jaipur, you will usually end up with very close points. In fact, it is often surprising how someone who sold the diamonds and gold at the highest price can still lose against their opponent if they are able to sell 5 items together, because the bonus tiles you get for selling large sets of cards do really make a huge difference, the more cards you can sell at once. So I can highly recommend Jaipur to anyone who wants a 2-player only game that is light and a great filler. Despite its age, the game really doesn't feel old. The mechanisms still work really well, and the game can easily compete with other more modern filler games. Thank you for listening to this Tabletop Games Blog Saturday Review podcast. Please check the description below for links mentioned in this episode, as well as to the written version of this article on the blog. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, give us some stars or leave a review. Please also tell your friends about me, and if you want to offer financial support, check out my Patreon and Ko-fi pages, links to which you'll find in the blog at tabletopgamesblog.com. So thank you again for listening, and I hope to see you again soon. This podcast is made possible by the generous help from our Patreon supporters: Royal Patron Sean Newman, the UK half of Gamealot, Castle Guard David Miller of Subquark Publishing, Dice Masters James Naylor, publisher of Magnate First City, and Paul Grogan of Gaming Rules, and Shining Light Robin Kay of Rune Sky Games, Sarah Reed of Resourceful Games, Tim Vernig, and Richard Simpson of We're Not Wizards.